Hey all, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Are you all excited to know the next amazing topic for our video? Though we have entertained you with a variety of videos which gave you all excitement, thrilling, funny experiences, today's topic might be slightly different from the topics we have shared with you up to now. In this video, we are going to share the worst punishments of the human history. Though we think that death is the most scariest and the worst punishment a man can get, you will be amazed and will definitely change your mind after watching this video. Let's get started. As we talk about punishments, the purpose of it is to reduce crimes through deterrence or maybe rehabilitate offenders. According to the society, they think punishments are efforts to protect the public, but there have been punishments which intended to cause pain to the condemned. These punishments were not given only for men but also women. The Assyrian prisoners of war were flayed. This punishment was given in 1571 CE at the Siege of Cyprus, where a Venetian commander, Marco Antonio Bragadin, was flayed by the Ottoman Turks after surrendering. Most of the people think that removing a person's skin from their body is a medieval European form of punishment and torture due to popular culture depictions. This is clearly shown in a popular series named Game of Thrones. Persian criminals were subjected to the boats. This punishment was only given to the worst criminals. In this punishment, firstly the victim to be laid flat in a boat, and another boat with holes to allow the victim's head, hands, and feet to protrude was then laid over. The executioners forced the victim to drink a mixture of honey and milk and covered the victim's exposed body parts with that same drink. The victim was left in the boats, and nature took its course. With nowhere else to go, the victim was forced to excrete where they lie. Flies swarmed the victim, and they were left until they were completely devoured. It is impossible to even imagine a punishment like this can be given to a person. Vestal virgins were buried alive if they broke their oath. According to researchers, the Vestal virgins were considered as the priestesses to Vesta, the goddess of home and heart, and is considered as one of the most important roles in Rome. Due to the importance of the role, if any Vestal virgin were to break her oath, she was executed as a sacrifice, where if one broke her vow of celibacy, many perceived her as a former purity now tainted. No one wanted to be responsible for her death and become tainted themselves, so the solution was to bury the Vestal alive and allow nature to kill her. Was this really practiced in the past? What do you think? Medieval murderers were broken on the wheel. This was a form of punishment primarily used in Western Europe during the early modern period to penalize murderers or thieves. In this punishment, the condemned was generally tied to a wheel or cross, then struck with a wooden wheel or an iron bar. Depending on the desired amount of pain inflicted before the death blow, the executioner chose where to strike. If he was feeling merciful, the executioner started at the neck. But if not, he began by striking at the condemner's legs. Criminals were dismembered on the rack. This rack was a form of torture and punishment commonly associated with the medieval era, coming from the ancient history. The criminal was tied down by their limbs, and the executioner spun a crank, which pulled the criminal's limbs apart. The punished was stretched until their limbs were dislocated, and there were moments when the condemned's limbs were completely separated from their body. Can you imagine the pain? Don't you think this punishment should be given to the rapists? Dutch conspirators were tortured with rats and hot coals. During the war, Northern Holland Governor Dietrich Sanoy used torture to legitimize and strengthen his authority over the region. He arrested 8 men who was charged for a conspiracy to burn down a number of villages in Holland. One of the condemned victims was put on the rack and placed rats on him under a ceramic vessel. He put hot coals on the vessel, and with nowhere else to run from the heat, the rats burrowed into his body. Then they put the hot coals into the victim's wounds. This method can be seen in many modern movies as well. Roman criminals were crucified. In this method, individuals were whipped, forced to carry a wooden cross or a similar structure, and fixed onto the cross by rope or nails, and finally left until the condemned died. The cross could be propped in any orientation, but it depended mostly on how long the executioners wanted the condemned to live before their inevitable death. Those who died were rarely buried. Their remains were usually left to be eaten by wild animals. A well-known incident on this method is the death of the religious leader Jesus Christ on the cross. Suspected witches were drowned. This is where the women who were suspected of witchcraft were tied up and cast into deep water. Those who sunk were considered innocent, while those who floated were considered witches and promptly executed by fire. Regardless of the outcome of this ordeal, the woman was killed. They have chosen water because many believe that water is a pure and cleansing element. Do you believe in this myth? Yakuza members mutilate their fingers. In this method, it is said that individuals within the Yakuza or indebted to them sever parts of their own finger with a hammer and chisel to demonstrate a sincere apology, or as a punishment if they were to violate the Yakuza code or not pay their bets. This practice is not limited to a single cut, but rather another knuckle is severed with each mistake made. This realizes the victim the mistake they did, and secondly, it gives others the message for others on what the outcome would be if someone breaks Yakuza's rules. What do you think about the punishments given to the rule breakers in the ancient? Thank God we were not born at that era. Just imagine if we did. We would have lived a life full of fear. You all might also agree with this. These methods are only some of the punishments given in the ancient, and there are a lot more methods of punishments used by the ancient people to rectify the society, which made the society more positive. This is it for today. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Until we meet again with another amazing topic, stay tuned and be safe.